Hi, everybody. Welcome to Local Film Talk. I'm your host, Bob. We are, as always, getting the scoop on the local film scene here in North Carolina. And I can see my dog over here in the corner. He's trying to figure something out over there. Anyways, we are here today talking with two totally new filmmakers, people that we haven't met before. They are actually from the North Carolina School of the Arts over in Winston-Salem. We have here Evan Russell, the writer and producer of the short film Helpless.
Hi.
And we also have Christene. I did not catch your last name. What's your last name, Christene?
Hurley.
Christene Hurley.
Hello.
I was scared. I thought I remembered it being something complicated, and you're like Hurley. I'm like, shit.
Oh, I wish I said something kind of complicated.
Harder than it needed to be. She is the director of the short film Helpless. And this film actually came to my attention because it will be screening this Friday at Motorco in downtown Durham. It's the 22nd right now, so that is let's scroll through here and find it. The 26th, Friday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Helpless and two other local films will be screening there. It's part of the PBS Online Film Festival screening. They actually have a whole online film festival going on where you can actually vote on a bunch of different films. 3 of them happen to be from here in North Carolina, so Motorco decided to do a screening about it. And I was lucky enough to be able to get you guys to come on and talk about it, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. This is great.
So I got all sorts of questions. This is actually the first time I'm talking to either of you. So go ahead and tell us a little bit. Like I said, Evan, you are the writer and producer, and then Christene directed. So go ahead and tell us a little bit. Give us a little bit about your background to start out with. How did you guys meet and decide to work together?
I wasn't a traditional student when I started the School of the Arts. I think I started when I was 26 years old, and it's my second degree. So I was kind of a little on the ambitious side and kind of a go-getter. And in my first year, I had this incredible professor named Bob Goss who taught us producing. And he gave us, wow, I just jumped right into School of the Arts. I didn't really say much about myself, but I'm telling you, my
born
life
at a very young age.
my life didn't start until I went to the School of the Arts. But he gave us this really cool assignment where he made us just come up with any idea, and just pitch it to the class so that we could start getting into the habit of pitching stories, because that is pretty much the very first step in filmmaking, like having this idea. Did
you have time to think about it, or made you come up with them on the spot?
Evan, was it a homework assignment or was it on the day?
It was a homework assignment. I definitely remember. I remember one that I pitched was a political thriller called Miss Pac-Man.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I remember thinking about that in the cafeteria because I was supposed to have done it for homework, and I did it right before class.
Yeah, so maybe it was it was a homework assignment assigned the week before, and I remember that I also wasn't truly prepared for the assignment, because you get the opportunity to give an idea for a story in front of a class of 40 students. Was it 40?
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
It was like
the whole class split in half. So
and we were about 80 to 90 deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a huge class.
And the pressure's on, because everybody's like, at this point, the ideas we were pitching were to kind of start getting to know each other and start to know what kind of filmmakers you related to and the kind of stories that you had in common. And I didn't have a true full story, but I stood in front of the class anyways, and I told them the pitch for this idea, for this movie, Helpless. And it was kind of a little unfocused, but it was, I had the fundamentals. It was 2 teenagers in high school in a library, and I'd be giving it away, Evan. I'm not going to give it away.
It's totally up to you guys what you want to do as far as spoilers and everything. We can dance around it and let people be surprised, or you can.
Why don't we just do it like this? Let's say from this point on in the interview, there's no excuse for a viewer to not have gone to watch the movie. They can pause this, go to pbs.com, watch the movie, and then come back. I think the only way we're going to be able to get into this well enough as if we talk about the movie.
That's true. You've been warned. Spoilers ahead.
Major spoilers.
Okay. Then I'm going to continue with it.
By all means. Sorry to interrupt.
So, Evan, are you getting that feedback from earlier because my headphones stopped working and I've taken them out?
Yeah, something just happened. I don't know what just happened, but speak again. Let me hear it.
Hello? Hello?
I'm hearing a little bit of echo, but not a
It's
like
not
I'm
bad.
not getting a big
Yeah, it's not
echo of my own voice. So
Will it be okay, you think?
I'm fine with it.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when I was pitching the idea, I kind of I think I can almost remember the exact short pitch, and I'm going to try it again for the first time since 2012.
Yeah.
But you've got a young girl and a young guy sitting on the ground in the middle of a stack of library books in a library, and they're talking about prom or any kind of high school issue at the time, and you can kind of feel like this. Wow, I'm doing a really crappy job, but you can kind of feel this like tension building, and you can't really tell if they're high, if they were like skipping class because they were getting stoned in the library or something. But after a while, the camera will pan down to reveal a gunshot wound in the young girl's leg, and at this point she is either passed out or passed away, and the camera will also kind of tilt up and reveal a shooter in the library pacing, and it ends right there. Very quick, very easy.
So camera moves and stuff were part of your pitch?
They were, because I was a freshman and I didn't really truly understand that when you're writing a script and when you're also pitching, you're not really supposed to talk about camera movements, but I didn't know how else to describe this effect that I wanted. That was a piece of information that is only revealed by the camera moving. So since then, I talking to my professors, I kind of tweaked that a little bit to say it is revealed that she's been shot, and then it is revealed that there's a shooter, but that it is important to me because it's this cool sweeping motion.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, that's something that I wasn't aware of, and a lot of times when I'm coming up with an idea and writing something down, a lot of it's visual in my head, and plot points happen via camera moves and everything. Yes. So I was wondering, what kind of advice did they give you in that instance? They just say it is revealed, and it's up to the director to interpret it how they want?
Exactly. Because you, as a writer, which Evan is really good about this, is he words things in such a way that leaves room for the creativity of a director to come in and kind of make it visual on screen. And and so I think rules are made to be broken. I'm going to go ahead and say that because there is that rule for a reason. When you're reading a script, you don't want to be pulled out because you're seeing camera movement and descriptions of where the camera is placed, because there's no camera when you're telling a story. There's just a story and the people. But so that was my pitch. And Evan, you remember this moment better than I do, but I finished this pitch, which was much better then, and there was just silence in the room. Not a lot of people had a whole lot to say, and I think maybe a couple of hands started to pop up one by one.
All I remember sitting there, because I was either in the first or the second row, and I remember I didn't really know you then, and I was just we're in this class and we have to listen to everybody's stuff, and like myself, I know that most people have just made this up on the spot. Some of them in the room. Some of them, I think, even made it up when they got up there, as they went. So
improv class is down the hall.
Yeah, seriously. I'm not expecting anything, really. And I'm just kind of like, okay, here's another one. Here we go. Let's hear it. And she just puts this out there, and I don't know, I was just able to see it, and even more importantly, I was able to feel it. And I know when she finished, everybody got quiet, and there was just kind of a silence in the room, and then people started like, well, what about this for the ending, or like, how would you want to? Would we want to see police, or would we want to hear sirens, or those kind of answers? And I'm sitting there with my hand over my mouth, and I'm going, no, everybody stop talking, everybody stop talking, you're going to ruin this.
This is one of my favorite moments because we always get these 15-minute breaks in the class as often as possible because our professor was a chain smoker and needed a break. So on our very first break, we're all outside, and Evan comes up. Probably one of the first times I think I can remember talking to Evan, and he was like, "Hey, pretty much, I liked your idea. I think we can work together in some capacity. What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was going to take a crack at the script or something, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll talk. We'll definitely do this." The very next day, Evan hands me a 4-page script.
Yeah, I think it's either 4 or 4.5. It's not long.
4.5-page completed script in my hand, printed copy, stapled, and everything of this film.
That's on the ball.
Yeah, and
I knew from her pitch that there was it had the potential to be really great. If it was handled the right way, if it was written the right way, it was gonna be really, really great. And I remember talking to you outside of Ace Complex here at school. I remember going up to you and being like, "I want to work with you, anything that I can do." And I remember somebody else came up and wanted to say the same things. And like, so you were actually getting pulled in a couple different directions. And I knew.
I only remember you.
Kaylee Candle, specifically, I remember came up to us, and I was like, "No." In my head, I was like, I knew I had to leave that class when it was over, and I had to work that night. And I stayed up the entire night just figuring it out. I went to we have like a little like snack bar thing here called the Pickle Jar, and I went and wrote there for a while. And then I went back to my dorm, and I just wrote all night and just I probably wrote it a couple times, none of which, those things don't exist anymore just because they were in the open document. But I wrote it a couple times and trying to figure out the flow of the conversation. But I knew that if I was going to be a part of this, that I needed to like get in quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the feeling I had. I don't know what you felt about it, if you thought anything was going to happen the next day, or if you ever even...
It wasn't until I read your script and the fact that we didn't really like have a plan for the future of the film, and I was still very new to this. This was still my first year at film school, and I didn't know what the protocol was. So I remember the first thing I thought I was supposed to do was like make notes, and like, but I didn't make notes on the script. I think I like actually changed it. Do you remember this? Like,
yeah, I actually have that. I do have that version.
Yeah, I remember that like I took a draft of the script that I edited because I didn't really know the next step, but I knew there were a couple of things that I thought would be kind of interesting. But then I do remember the very next meeting, Evan was like, no.
Me and her met in the cafeteria here at school with the two scripts side by side, and I took them both side by side and went through with her, just because I needed to know if I was going to do this. I needed to see that she could understand my story A, B, C, and how that happened. And if we were going to make a change, then it had to lead us to some place we needed to go.
I can't even remember now the changes.
No, I haven't.
They had, but they weren't progressing the story. So, like, because at that time I wasn't a writer, and I didn't understand that, you know, when you're dealing with a 5-page script and a 6 to 7 minute film, every word counts. Everything has to drive your tiny lengthed story. So to kind of speed this along a little bit, Evan and I made the decision that our roles in this film would probably be best if Evan, who was a writer and a producer by choice of 2 disciplines, we had to choose 2 disciplines, and Evan, you were choosing writing and producing. And I couldn't decide between producing and directing, so we just almost by default decided I would direct and he would produce. So
is that what you had gone back to school for? You had wanted to direct, or was there something else in the industry you wanted to try your hand at?
No, I actually started going to the school because I wanted to be an editor. And then it was my first class with that professor that I mentioned, Bob Goss. One class with him made me want to be a producer and a director. So Bob Goss ended up being a really important figure in this film because Evan and I were really trying to make this movie on our own, and it was our first big film, and we couldn't find a library that would let us splash blood in it. And I don't understand why.
Isn't that crazy? You can't just throw blood all over a library for some reason. I don't know why.
They all kept turning us away.
Yeah.
Even our own school's library said no.
So I just to bring that back for a second, you were talking about finding a library that would let you splash blood all over the place, but one thing that I noticed was that there's very little blood. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't want it all over the place in the beginning when it's not supposed to be clear what's going on. But even when you pan down, if I remember correctly, it was just on her leg, maybe a little on the bottom of her hand. I don't think there was anything on the floor or anything.
There was a little puddle underneath her leg where the blood had collected, but we found a carpet company that donated a piece of carpet that we could do that with. That was always the plan, to safely be able to get a little blood on the carpet. But when I mentioned the whole splashing the blood, we never intended for that to happen.
Yeah.
That just accidentally happened when me, the most neurotic person on set and in the world, is panicking as the director. I'm like, Evan, we can't get blood on anything. Nowhere. You gotta be the only person. So Evan was the blood wrangler, and he had gloves and a bucket and plastic bags.
Yeah, I actually did the effect myself.
Yeah.
Well, you wore all the hats.
Evan, who were we putting the blood on, Mary?
Yeah, we're putting the blood on Mary.
We wanted to sprinkle some splashes on her pants where the wound was. So I'm so smart. I'm just the smartest person in the world sometimes. I had her stand on a piece of extra carpet that we purchased in another stack. And as she's standing up, I'm standing in front of her, and I dip, I think, a little bit of a paintbrush, and I just do that, thinking maybe it would just land on her leg. And it got on the books behind her, and it got on the carpet behind her, and it was. And I think, Evan, you can do this impression of me better than I can, but just the reaction I had when there was blood everywhere in my hand.
She saw the end. She thought we were gonna get shut down. That was in her face. She just totally froze, and I've ruined the entire movie. And I remember I'm in gloves, and I've got the blood, and I had to actually calm her down for a second. I had to get her to stop, and I'm look at me, it's okay, this is fine.
It's gonna come off.
It's gonna come off, and I grab a paper towel, and it comes off right there, and I had to convince her that the movie's gonna get finished. It's gonna be okay.
I'm trying to picture you guys lying about that later on. It's did you guys get fake blood all over the book? No, we don't know what that's real blood. Somebody really bled all over those books. We didn't do that.
The SWAT team cop story. I have to get a charger for my computer, but you have to tell the story.
Now, real quickly, speaking of this library, you were talking about having trouble finding libraries. Was your difficulty more in just finding places that would let you shoot, or people that had issues with the subject matter? And with this specific library you ended up using, was that all of a factor? Was it a can we film? Yes. What are you filming? Let's talk about that.
It was a mixed bag. We were really cautious with how we pitched this to people. We knew that it's sensitive subject matter. And we didn't want to be seen as making taking advantage of some sort of tragedy, which at the time, when we came up with it and wrote it, and during pre-production, there hadn't been a mass tragedy shooting in quite a while.
This was right before Sandy Hook, right?
Yes. The inception of it was February 2012. We shot in, I think, March of 2013. And so we, like we talked about earlier, we had the script really early, and it didn't really change that much. And then these events started happening. I think the Batman movie was one of the first ones. And I remember messaging Christene over the summer, hey, what do you think about this? Does this change anything for you? No, it doesn't change anything for me. If it doesn't change anything for you, because this always for us was about the kids, and really, to me, the whole movie is about the goodness of the human heart, and how something really beautiful can come out of something really tragic. I think self-sacrifice is even a big theme there, and so it was never about
sensationalism.
Yeah, sensationalism. That's a great way to put it. It was never about that. When we knew we were going to do this, it had been a long time since something like that had really happened. The biggest one that I could remember was, I think, what was the college, the big college, Virginia Tech.
That was Virginia Tech, yeah.
Yeah, and that was that was 2007, I believe.
Right.
And so it had been quite a while since something really had been at the forefront of the national media, similar to, in subject matter. So we trying to find a library. It was more, we were very cautious about how we approached the subject matter altogether. So that was something that we needed. We leaned on our professor Bob Goss for, because we went and scouted this library after we got turned down from the school. We went and scouted the library that we ended up shooting at just on our own. We just went in and looked at it, and we took the cinematographer with us. And I remember Christene like turning to me like, "I want this library. I want this." And I'm like, "Oh well, let's see what we can do." So we set up a meeting with Decca, meet her. We bring Bob in, and so I remember being the most amazed I think I've ever been at a professor just like wheeling and dealing in the moment for real in the field, and we walk out of that with signed papers and a locked location, and I'm
not
just
saying
like,
a word.
not
like what just happened. What did
No, Bob.
And it's done.
I have to give Bob a lot of credit. He championed this really early on and really went above and beyond for us when I don't know that he would have, depending on the story. I think it all came down to story, and I think he saw something in what we were trying to do.
Well, and confidence in you guys to, not only treat the subject matter right, but to actually make a really good film.
Of course.
And not get blood all over the damn library.
Right.
The damn library.
No, and we did take that very seriously, and that was only like the last couple hours of the last day. So we shot the entire movie, and then we did the last shot, was like the last thing that we really did, I think, if I can remember.
Oh, it was because this is the story. This is the day.
We're in a lockdown library. The front doors are locked. We had some interruptions earlier in the day. People thinking the library was open. I remember an old lady came to drop off a tax form or something, or to get a tax form. A couple
you didn't
little
answer the door in costume, did you?
No. That was really
the library's closed.
No, that was really early before we got into any of the stuff. Most of the shoot was really intimate. I mean, we've got one camera and just a couple lights just right in this aisle, and so it was really quiet. And so we knew immediately if somebody was coming in the door, because it's a small place. So we had a couple interruptions earlier that day, nothing big. And so we learned to lock the doors, and we put up some duvetine over the front doors and put up some more signs because they didn't see the ones that we did put up. We replaced them and made it more apparent that like you can't come in here, it's locked down. And then once night fell, we didn't have any more of those problems. But then we got into some of the more really emotional, taxing stuff for the lead in the movie, Dylan Arnold. It's the point in the film when he hears a noise, he hears a door open in the library, and he stops the conversation and gets up to look through the bookshelves to see what's going on. And the audience doesn't know at that point, but what he sees is the shooter in the room. And I remember standing just quiet, and I'm standing next to my AD, Taylor Zablosky, who's a really great friend of mine. I'm standing next to him, we're just being quiet, we're waiting for the take to end. And in the distance, I hear sirens, really faintly. And I'm thinking, well, I wonder what's going on. I don't even think that it's us. I'm just like, what's going on out in the world, Maybe they'll use it. I think, like Dylan, maybe he'll use it. It's like a real world thing. Yeah, this is good. And so, we cut that take and we do it again. And there I am again. I'm sitting quiet, and then I see across the room, I see at the time he was a first year. He's about to be a fourth year now at School of the Arts. His name is Kyle Frank. And I think he was just like a grip that day. And he is standing at the other side of the library, waving me down, waving his arms like this, because he doesn't want to interrupt the take. He's like being really quiet because he's a first year and he's taking it really seriously, but like he's got to say something. He's waving his arms and we're going like, what? Me and Taylor are like, what's going on? And he's like, the cops are outside.
And we're doing a close-up.
We're doing a
close-up for the scene, and I'm like by the camera, and we're like.
Yeah, we're doing a close-up, and my heart drops,
God.
and I look down, and I've got 2 fake M16s, and I've got like 3 sidearms, and I've got grenades, and I'm just like, I'm dressed to the nine. And I remember.
I'll go out and calm them down.
Yeah, I remember I'm like having that little moment of just like, oh my God, and I remember Taylor, the AD, leans over to me. He's like, you might want to take those things off. And I remember I just unzip the vest and I'm just throwing it all out on the table. I want to make sure everything is out and clear and like everything is up so you can see it. Guns are out, and I remember people start looking around and like Christene pops her head out like, what's going on? And I'm just like, we have to cut now.
There's like lights flashing in the windows or anything?
No, there's nothing like that. They pulled up completely discreetly to the property.
When I looked out the window, there were 6 cop cars lined up outside in front of the library. Like.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we had no idea. I really thank Kyle for that. I always joked with him after that he saved my life because I have no idea what they would have done if we had just kept going like nothing was happening.
They were all armed when they came.
Yeah. And so I remember the cut.
How did they get tipped off?
I remember this. This is. I was going to squeeze this in at some point, but a technique that my lead actor had to have his heart racing because we were doing it over and over, and he felt like he was losing a little bit of authenticity. Mm-hmm. He would go outside of the library, kick a brick wall, just kind of scream with aggression, shake it all off, and then run back inside, lay down, and have his heart racing from all of that adrenaline that he let go of. And one of those times that he did it, there was a woman turning in a book. And so we think she called the cops because she didn't know what was going on, and this kid ran back into the library and shut the door, and it was all locked up. And because shortly after is when the cop showed up.
Yes.
Oh man. So she just saw some crazy kid outside running around and screaming and.
Yep.
Okay.
It was.
I was gonna say you weren't outside all loaded up in gear taking a cigarette break and somebody was like.
No. We were pretty smart about that kind of stuff, and we were thinking of, the library's shut down. I'm inside. I can't be seen. So we had talked with our faculty pretty extensively about it, and they said at the time the policy was if we weren't in the public eye, that we didn't need to contact the police.
Right.
And so now policy has changed that any time a firearm is on set, no matter what, private property, inside, interior, exterior, whatever it is, that it's like now you have to call the police, you have to notify them.
Right.
So that's probably a really good change for the best as far as policy goes. But what I remember.
No second-year film is allowed to use a weapon.
Oh yeah. This was our sophomore film, and now they cannot use weapons because, and I think that's actually a smart move. It's a shame, but I think it is a smart move because they have 5 and 6 films shooting a weekend when it comes to those second-year projects, and if all of them one weekend happen to have a gun, you have 6. That's 60 kids going out into the world, scaring the public. That's quite a big risk. Mm-hmm. So I agree with that change. Though I do feel responsible for it.
So any of you second-year kids watching this episode, these are the 2 to blame right here.
We did it. Sorry.
Because every movie I have made since has guns and has blood.
Me too.
So I was curious. You found Evan was actually telling me earlier that when you guys were casting these things, and obviously, it's a school. These are student films. You're obviously casting students. He was saying that a lot of times, because there are so many people trying to shoot films, you'll actually all set up your auditions at the same time, so kids can kind of go boom, boom, boom down the hall and audition for a bunch of stuff at once, which I think is actually a really clever idea.
And it's really fun.
It is fun.
if you hear it and see it, but there are like people running into rooms and tumbling and running out and then walking, into the next one. And there's so many different genres of film, and
I remember. I think we were casting for our next movie, and we just grabbed people in the hallway. We were like, well, they're not signed up, but I want him to audition, like get him in here. It's a fun thing to do.
So how did you pick the two actors you went with?
Funny enough, this is a really funny story. I got sick with a kidney stone in the fall of my second year.
It's hilarious.
I'm laughing.
I had a kidney stone the fall of my second year, and I thought I was dying because I was urinating blood, and I didn't know. All I knew was my stomach hurt, and I peed blood, and I was like, I'm dying, clearly.
Not fun.
Not fun. So I remember I went over to my friend's apartment. His name's Donald Monroe. Donald and Joseph Hefner, actually. Anyway, I go over to their apartment, him and Donald and Joseph's apartment, and I say, guys, I just peed blood. I don't really know what to do. And they immediately just get up off the couch and they say, well, we're going to the hospital. And they take me to the hospital. This is probably about 11 at night, and
there are worse reactions they could have had. That's pretty good. Those are solid friends.
Well, we're going to the hospital. And so we get to the hospital, and they spend the entire night there with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really, really nice of them. It was really awesome. And so to repay Donald, I told him that I would crew on this project that he was doing the next morning. He had to be on set at 8 that next morning for, I think it was a directing exercise, but for the life of me can't remember which one it was. They have several different ones that they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And he was shooting one, and I told him, okay, hey man, thank you so much. I will do whatever you need me to do today on your set. You're not sleeping, I'm not sleeping. That's just how it is. So I went to set with the band on my arm, the hospital band, and I'm like doing a dimmer, like we're recreating like a projector of a movie playing, and this kid comes in, it's two teenagers watching a movie, and they have a fight in the theater, and this boy comes in, and he's just really natural. He's just got a good face, and it's like he's playing an asshole, but something about him is sympathetic to me, and I'm like, God, I got to remember this kid. Who is this? And I found out his name, Dylan Arnold. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna remember that name. It didn't like all come to me all at once or anything. I was just like, I'm gonna look out for that. Mm-hmm. And so I remember went on Christmas break, and I'm alone on I think it was New Year's Day or something, and I'm just like, it was one of the worst case scenario moment for me. I was just like, I'm never gonna find this kid, and then all of a sudden, I thought of Dylan, and I'm like, oh my God, wait, no, this is perfect.
Why did I not think of this a week ago?
No, yeah, seriously. Oh my, how have I not put this together yet? Mm-hmm. Because when I wrote the movie, for me, I just kind of pictured in my head, and I knew I could see the characters. And I wasn't casting to that, but I had this imaginary character in my head. Right. And as soon as I thought of Dylan in that place, I lost whatever the character looked like or was before.
Jock.
You're right. I had originally
Justin
written.
Bieber.
Yeah, he had Bieber blonde hair. That was just what the character looked like to me, and as soon as I thought of Dylan, all of that went out the window.
And how about the girl?
I was looking to see if I had a photo of her in this house, because I'm in one of her childhood homes, which is kind of creepy, but Mary Madison and I are from Fayetteville, North Carolina. We performed in musical theater together for 10 to 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And when I was a freshman in college and a sophomore with Evan, she was a senior in high school here in Fayetteville. And I asked her to come from Fayetteville to Winston to audition for this part, and she did. And I showed the audition to Evan, and Evan was like, that she has this kind of really young, innocent quality, which if she heard that, she would kick me in the shin, because I think that's what she hears the most, because she has this like beautiful, innocent face. But she, I mean, again, I don't think we saw anybody else, Evan, did we?
No, I don't. Those were the only people that we ever really auditioned. And I remember you had brought me some names and faces from people in Fayetteville, but I think when it came down to it, they were the only people we actually auditioned.
I had a boy's face for the male role because he had Bieber hair.
Well, it's interesting because the way you've described it is, it's like you said, your original idea was someone a bit more jock, a little more jockish, which would have, I mean, that would have been an interesting dynamic, because you're taking something that the audience expectations would be a little cooler, smoother, level-headed, you know, got his shit together and everything, and then you throw him into a situation like this, where, you know, in all likelihood, he's not going to have a clue how to deal with everything. He's out of his element. We're going to get to see this person we expect to be strong and confident, be, you know, scared and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the guy you went with, you said like I said, he doesn't fit any of those characteristics, but at the same time, I think what I felt was interesting about that dynamic is that naturally, you know, because he doesn't look like that big confident guy, and you have this, you know, pretty girl who could probably has probably been asked to the prom by, you know, plenty of guys. You know, you really get the feel from this other kid that he, you know, he's the kind of person who is probably not the most upfront, the most confident on the dating scene, and this is probably a friend of his who, you know, under normal circumstances, he doesn't have the stones to ask her out.
Yeah.
But now thrown into the situation, you know, rather than the other way, it would have been a confident person taken out of their element and being scared. You have a guy who's actually stepping up and taking care of his friend and doing what he can to comfort her, and, you know, in the end, having the confidence to ask her out. So it, you know, like you said, switching that casting really flipped that dynamic in an interesting way.
I don't know. I think jock has different connotations. Maybe I have a warped sense of jock, but it was more of a sense of like a body type with some sort of athleticism that you could see. But I think you're right, though. I think it did help on screen. You definitely see the vulnerability. It's definitely somebody stepping up. So I think that worked to our advantage.
I think it worked out great. So let's talk a little bit about a little more of the technical stuff. I was interested in some of now tell us a little bit about the crew. You actually had, you know, I assume this being a film school thing, you're not just, you know, cobbling together a bunch of DIY stuff. They want you to learn how to do it right. So you had an actual DP, sound guy, all that stuff. How big was your crew?
It was about 10 or 11, right?
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was very, very small. We had one person for every key position, and then maybe one more assistant for anybody who needed. So we had an incredible cinematographer that was my very...
These are all students, right?
All students.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All students. And the cinematographer, I think, was the very first crew member we hired together, Evan and I was pretty... not adamant, but adamant in a sense that I really only wanted this guy at the time because I'd worked with him once before, and he was just a brilliant guy. His name is Chris Ellison, and we asked him so early, because Evan and I had formed our team, and then we asked Chris so early that he hadn't been snatched by anybody else that he agreed to do it. And another thing that I forgot to mention, since this film was our sophomore thesis project, our second-year film, every person in their role in the film had to be performing their first choice. So we studied 5 different disciplines inside the film school. 6, 7, or 5?
God, I don't remember. I think
5.
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5.
You pick 2. One is your first choice, and then the second is your second choice. But you could only perform in the role that is your first choice. And Evan and I kind of came into this problem because we were both first choice producers. And my second choice was directing. Evan's second choice was writing. So I actually switched my major. I switched my major just to make this movie, made the movie, and switched it back. I kind of cheated the system, and I didn't get in trouble for it because I was very upfront about it, but they weren't really happy that I did that because I did it because if I hadn't, then someone else would have directed this movie, or this movie wouldn't have been made.
Right.
So,
well, I say it the other way. I think if we couldn't have made the movie through the school, I thought it was. I felt like between you and me, we were like, well, we're doing this one way or another. To me, it always felt like we were going to do this regardless. We were just using the school as more or less a studio.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't use any money to make it. We got a small, tiny budget for this film, and we pretty much used it to feed ourselves.
And this is all, like, the school provides all that?
Yep, the school gives us the budget for the films. So, for example, we really made Helpless for nothing, if not just the purchase of bloody effect, blood, and her jeans that we...
Yeah, we got some cheap, Halloween prosthetics and some cheap fake blood, and then we just bought food to feed ourselves.
I got the meals donated. I got the meals that we...
All the meals donated?
Yep.
Well, we definitely had crafty. So that was a little bit... yeah, I remember now, because you even cooked one night, which was really awesome. Yeah, you cooked one, and we bought the stuff to, like, make the posters in the hallway.
Yeah.
Which was nothing. We went to AC Moore. I was just there the other day actually thinking about that. But yeah, we made this on nothing. So... we had
that feeling.
We had... And honestly... The best part about it is it didn't feel like it. It felt like we had exactly what we needed. I felt like any more crew, any more money, it would have just gotten overblown. I don't know that I could have put $1,000 more into this and got a better product, really.
Yeah.
Well, and like you were saying, back at the beginning, there was originally the idea that you might, people had suggested, well, are you going to see the cops, and is there going to be this? Is there actually going to be gunfire and stuff? And all that, aside from how it affects the story, all that stuff costs money. The instant you have, a bunch of cop cars outside with flashing lights and cops in uniforms with guns and everything, that takes, what is essentially a two-person drama in an empty room, and just the budget goes crazy.
We rolled on the real cops.
Yeah. I was going to say, or you could just have some kid go outside and kick the wall and just point the camera out the window.
Yeah.
All you got to do is get the cops called on you, and you roll on it when they come. That's it, man. You got it. No.
Say, officer, could you say these lines just for a second? I mean.
I think we knew that it was really fragile, the ending, and so I don't think anything cop-wise helped us. It didn't help the emotion of the film. So that was I don't think that was anything we ever really seriously explored.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even in the beginning, when the camera is just kind of moving down the hallway of the school, you were able to add scale with sound design.
Yes.
With the sound of kids in classes and that kind of stuff. So, there's a lot that can be done that way without actually having to show things.
Of course.
So I know we're still talking about the technicality of the film, but I just remembered this really awesome moment as we were wrapping the movie on our second day of shooting. Evan and I received notice from our school that we had, if we had submitted the final product of our film within 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4, how many days?
I think we had 10 days to edit, but we needed it on the Friday of the first week.
So within 5 days, if we had finished a cut of our movie in 5 days, we could have been considered to screen at the Cannes International Film Festival.
What?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I'm not lying. And I was already going to Cannes that year because I was interning for the festival in programming, and I was going to be part of like the programming for the festival. And we waited until we wrapped the film to tell everybody this, because nobody had a clue that we were even attempting this, but that's how much we believed in our movie. Mm-hmm. We believed so hardcore that we applied for this position in the festival before we had a finished film.
Oh,
and
shit.
They pushed us through the application and said, okay, so we have to see your film, though. Can we have it by Friday? And I was like, of course you can have it by Friday. I mean,
you can have it on Friday. The school
Oh,
paid
yeah.
the school we got a cut. It's not the finished cut, but it's about 75% there. It's not much different. I think I still actually have that cut. The school paid to overnight at FedEx on that Friday to meet that deadline.
Wow.
And they accepted it.
They did.
They did.
So it's in the short.
Helpless did screen at Cannes.
It did.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I actually got to, like, I was there and I had my film, and I got so many awesome perks because I had my film technically in the festival.
Very cool.
And that was the first festival our film went to, and from there, a woman who saw my film in Cannes told me, I'm screening it in my film festival in California at the Big Bear International Film Festival in California. She was like, I want it, can I have it? And I was like, sure, of course. We screened it a couple of months after Cannes, and we won the short film award. We won the award at Big Bear. And then from there, our film it circuited about 13 more festivals, and we won awards in 7 of them. We won Best Short Film, Audience Choice Award. We won Best Female Filmmaker in Nashville with the Women in Film and Television Organization. And we just had the most incredible year that followed with this film that we were so passionate about, and just so much so that I went through a little bit of depression, I'm not going to lie. When we wrapped, I was like, I'm never going to feel this again. I've never felt so connected to it. So amazing.
I can totally speak to that as well. I remember feeling that once we were done with it, and I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be, right? This is how, when you make something, you're supposed to feel like this about it. And then the other side of that thought is, when am I going to feel like that again?
Right.
And I remember that was hard to get over. That was something that kind of like stuck in the back of my mind through probably the next year of school for me, was, when am I going to feel this again? It bothered me a lot, actually.
I've heard a lot of people say that one of the most important things you can do when you finish a project is to already know the next thing you're going to work on, because having that lag can just be, like you said, it can be depressing. You know, you're sitting there going, wow, I already hit this huge high, and I have no clue what the next thing is going to be, let alone if it's going to reach those standards. So
I know exactly what you mean. I think it took Evan and I a couple of years to find projects that felt that fulfilling. And Evan has a film that he completed this year that is amazing. Like, it's an amazing film. And I could see that spark came back and he had this film. And I mean, hopefully you'll be having the same conversation with Evan in a year or however long about this film that he made this year.
I'd be happy to. You guys are always welcome to come on.
Christene. Christene is being quite modest because she also has a fantastic film that she just finished with mine. So hopefully you'll be talking to her too, because
she's both also student productions at School of the Arts.
Final films.
Those are our final thing.
They're very different from each other.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we're running a little long. I don't want to hold you guys much longer, but no, it's been really great to talk to you guys about that. And anybody watching, obviously before the 26th, you can catch the short film Helpless at PBS's website at the online film festival. It's also audience voting, right? People can go on there and vote for which one they like.
Yes.
They can vote every 24 hours.
Every 24 hours. Vote early, vote often, every day. And that's another thing, is that when you're talking about something like that, people can keep voting. It's not necessarily who has the most popular film, it's who has the most passionate fan base.
Yeah.
If you can get people that are going to be dedicated to going out there every day and casting their vote, and I will definitely do my part.
Thank you so much.
And I hope everybody else who goes to the site and watches the film, I mean, how often do you have a film festival where you can go and watch, what is this, like 20 or 30 films for free?
Yeah, it's 25. It's really cool, actually. And I'm really impressed with the vote function, too, because usually when you do that, it's like some sort of sign-up or you have to enter information. And this is really just as simple as click the button, and that's it.
And, like, watch the movie right there, not signing up, not anything.
Nope.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh no, did you drop out?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. It's the freaking Chrome browser shits itself every now and then. I got that little drunk looking folder that says, "Oh, your browser crashed. Do you want to reload?"
Yeah, same thing happened to me.
While you were gone, I promise.
It's like, oh man, great. That's as the host. There's nothing greater than getting dropped out and having your guest go, "What do we do now?" He'll be back, right? It was worse before
we just kept going.
I was you weren't here yet, Christine, but Evan and I were just chatting earlier, and all of a sudden the power in my whole house flickered, and everything goes off, and everything boots back up, and I had to text Evan and I said, well, because ironically we'd just been talking about the technical difficulties of doing something online. I was like, well, I got to reboot the router. I'll be back online in about 5 minutes.
Oh no.
So
that's good because that's when I got the text from Evan saying you're not too late if you're free. You got another invite to join up, and I was like, I'm free.
There you go. Everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but like I was saying, everybody can go to PBS's website and watch this film online for free. And if you want to actually see it on a big screen, this Friday, June 26th at, I believe it's 8 p.m., yes, Friday, June 26th at 8 p.m. at Motorco in Durham. They're actually going to be screening the 3 short films in the PBS Online Film Festival that are from local North Carolina filmmakers. We have Helpless from you guys. Kilroy was here, which is also from a School of the Arts alum. And then, this title's in Spanish, and my Spanish is not great. Un buen carnicero?
Oh no.
I believe.
Un buen carnicero?
Oh, see, you beat me. I think that's much better. I will dub your voice over my lips, which is actually done by a local filmmaker here in Durham, someone I actually know. So
wow.
three great films. I have checked all these out online, and would definitely be excited to see them on a big screen. Evan, you will be there to discuss the film.
Yes, I will be. I think Mary Madison Valerie, the girl in Helpless, will also be in attendance.
Okay. So yeah, an awesome event for anybody who's into to indie film, some student projects and everything, and I definitely encourage everybody to go out and check it out. And if you can't do that, seek out this film any chance you get. Whether it's screening at a festival near you or if it comes up online somewhere, because it's definitely worth watching. What are you guys working on now? What can we look forward to? What can I hope to be talking to you guys about in the next couple months?
I'm hoping that my most recent film, which is called No Tip, will maybe get some festival play. It's a different movie. I think it's the kind of movie that might play in the later block of shorts because there's a lot of blood and just some fun issues that I toy with. And I'm paying homage to Quentin Tarantino in a sense, so it's a little quirky.
Also, there's a lot of blood.
A lot of blood, yes. And the kind that sprays obnoxiously too. I'm telling you, I had fun with this one. If I was graduating making something that I will laugh until I'm 80.
Not in the libraries though.
No libraries in this film,
libraries.
but some beautiful boys and beautiful girls.
Lots of blood.
Lots of blood. So that I'm hoping maybe if you hear my name again soon, it'll be attached to this amazing film that I'm so in love with.
Okay.
So I hope that will be our next conversation.
Very cool. And you're actually going back out to LA, you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I moved to LA about 3 weeks ago, and I'm living there now, and I have my resume floating with a couple of promising things, but I'm not, I don't know, I didn't give myself much of a summer break, and I really want to explore LA before I call it home. So I'm taking just a tiny bit of time off right now, and then jumping in full force.
Okay. Well, good luck out there. It's a tough town to make it in, but from what I've seen, you definitely have the talent to make it happen.
Thank you very much.
And your next project, Evan?
Well, like Christine, I just finished a short film. It's called The Roma Project.
Okay.
It's something that I actually started working on right after we wrapped Helpless. I started writing it, so it's been quite a while in the making. It's probably been the longest thing I've ever it's the longest amount of time I've ever spent working on one single thing. It's the biggest thing I've ever done, and it is. I mean, I feel like a proud father at this point.
And this is also a short film?
It is also a short film.
Okay.
It's just about 20 minutes. And
It's a long short film.
it is a little bit of a longer short film.
In the internet age, 20 minutes is might as well be Lawrence of Arabia.
I know. You're right. You're absolutely right. We should probably cut it down, but we spent a long time trying to figure out the right length and the right amount of stuff to put into this one. But this one is all about some old classic government cover-ups and some human testing and this teenager caught in the middle of it in the 70s. So some really fun stuff going on. And like I said, it's been, it's went from this folder of the character's name on my desktop right here that I made 2 years ago, and that's all that existed of it, and now the movie is sitting right next to that folder, and I can just click it, and it's all there. So it's been quite a process.
It's a satisfying feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it honestly it is, because right now, actually, I have that folder. It's called Patrick. That's the main character's thing, and then that's the main character's name, and then I have Helpless and Roma right on top of each other on my desktop right here for people that want to see them. But yeah, so that's just now done. That will be entering the festival circuit probably next month, the month after, and so I hope that's the next time you hear my name is getting to talk about that thing. And hey, and more Helpless stuff, I'm always willing to talk about it.
Awesome. We've been going for over an hour now. I don't know what the final edit will be, but yeah, we've talked for a little over an hour, and I didn't even get to half the questions I wanted to ask you guys. So I mean, I could have talked about this all night. No, it's my fault.
You get long-winded.
I was having too much fun.
Hey, I had fun. I wasn't even drinking.
What are you talking about?
That's what you get for signing on at school, man.
I know.
Next time we talk to you, we'll have. Well, I mean, I don't think you mentioned it just now. You talked to me about it earlier on, but you are also headed out to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm going to be moving to LA at the end of August.
So next time you're talking to us, but next time both of you are talking to me, hopefully it'll be from an apartment in LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where you're on the verge of making it big.
Yes.
So best of luck to both of you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this film, and hopefully I get a chance to talk to you again.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
doing this.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
guys. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.